Hello and welcome to week 4 in biopsychology. And I've got to tell you, when I was preparing the material for this particular chapter over the course of the break, and I put the material in there on the transcranial magnetic system, and the video that you see in the kind of controlling people's balance, I want one of those. I looked them up. They are tens of thousands of dollars. So if anybody wants to contribute that, maybe we'll start a GoFundMe. But wouldn't that be fun in class? Just it'd be fun during a meeting, just to kind of like secretly do that to people. Anyway, maybe too much information on myself right there. We're going to be looking in chapter 4 this week. Chapter 4 is on the anatomy of the nervous system. We looked at the neuron, we looked at the synapse. Now we're getting a little bit wider. We're going to be looking at primarily the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, and then also looking at the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic, what excites us, and the parasympathetic, which then calms us down. And we'll be looking primarily at those areas. The discussion, however, brings in sort of an ethical issue regarding the use of animals to study neurology and brain function. Early in the history of psychology, there was only a few ways for us to understand the brain, and they developed over time. And to tell you the truth, what used to happen, we would observe abnormal behavior, and then we would wait for the person to die, and then we would examine that person to see if there's any brain anomalies that are there that we could then associate. Now, early in the day, way back when this was beginning, the church held sway in a lot of Europe where this was developing, and the idea of cutting open a body was considered sacrilegious. It would actually, by the view of the church, inhibit that person to enter into heaven. So, interestingly enough, the church did allow the dissection of human beings as long as those individuals were criminals, because what the heck, they're going to hell anyway, so we might as well just cut them up. So the introduction of this is kind of a dicey history of how we started. This occurred in medicine as well. So medicine also suffered the same sort of limits and in getting to know the human body. We then would look at individuals with people with particular kinds of brain damage that happened. And then we started to look at animals. When evolution came along, and we looked at animals as a earlier version of human beings, enter in comparative psychology. Let's study animals, and what we're seeing is sort of an immature aspect of human behavior, evolutionarily speaking. So the use of animals in the study of neurology has been kind of front and center for a really long time and still occurs. Now we have electroencephalograms, we have brain imaging, and we even have the ability to send electrodes into a living brain and examine the living brain in action without a whole lot of deal to do with it. I mean, we can do EEGs, electroencephalograms, right at KVCC in my lab. I mean, there's just no chance of any harm coming from those things. Some of the others are a little bit more intrusive. Nonetheless, moved away from animal studies and started to study human beings directly. I'm asking you to think about animal studies on an ethical standpoint. There's animal lovers. I'm an animal lover. But at the same time, I can still see the value of using animal studies for certain things. The quiz asks you about the concept of white matter, because in this particular chapter, we explore the difference between gray matter and white matter. And in the assignment, I want you to create a presentation, a slideshow, be it PowerPoint. I'm going to let you use Keynote. I want them in the original file. Don't convert these to PDFs. I want you to submit the PowerPoint file or the Keynote file, or download the Google Slides one. Make sure you download. Don't give me, you know the whole thing. You can convert it to a PDF if you want. Either way, send it to me. I want the slides, and the slideshow should be something that an individual can open up and just go through all on their own and learn about the parts of the brain. That's what I'm asking you to do. So follow that guideline and get that presentation done. The presentation should be sufficient. It could be in a lot of slides. You don't want too much text in there. That's sort of kind of a way in which we want to do good slides. Keep in mind, you don't have to have a picture and then all the text about that picture. You can have that picture multiple times and you can be pointing out different aspects of it, whatever. And be creative. There's a creative element to this. So you're the teacher now, and I want each one of you to create a slideshow. Graphic intensive, very colorful. I enjoy those. I get inspired from them. I steal your ideas and then I use them in my own class. So that's really the sneaky thing I'm doing. The last thing, we have a lab again. We have Ice Ice Baby, probably a silly phrase for it. And we're going to be looking at the perception of cold. And this is a little pain involved in this one, but not a whole lot. So be careful with this one. Be conscientious. Find your little brother. That's the best thing you can probably do. So good luck with all of this stuff. I'll see you in the discussions. Have a great week. We're going to be looking at the larger aspects, a larger conception of the whole nervous system. And then as we start going from system to system, we're going to be diving deep again into each one of those systems. So good luck with that material, and I look forward to all of your stuff coming in. Sorry about that graphic. That was I pressed the wrong button on my switch here. That was Looking Glass Self. Some of you might have heard about that. That was from the last class that I just did. So anyway, have a good week. See, anybody can make a mistake. It's great.